this meditation, other than just feel, sense, visualize, imagine that superhighway of love that is flowing within you and to you from a benevolent, loving creator that knows your name. And in this superhighway of love, let us now hear what the message coming down the freeway to us is going to be from Kryon.
Greetings, dear ones. I'm Kryon of Magnetic Service. This is the 4th week in a series of messages. The messages are exceptionally empowering if you really get it, if you really understand what I'm telling you. The time you're in is special. If you have just come upon this particular channeling and you have heard none of the others, or perhaps it's the first time you've heard this message at all in any form, this message is amazing. The indigenous of this planet for thousands of years looked at the cycles of life, of consciousness, of Earth, and they predicted something right now that would correspond with that which is the precession of the equinoxes, a 26,000-year cycle of Earth. They predicted that this would be a time of change, and it would be a change that would be significant enough to be noticed by historians from now on. One of those changes was shown very clearly on the Hopi Indian Prophecy Rock, where you can see that clearly at a certain time where there are 2 paths that could be taken by humanity. Neither path is the same as it was. One is a path of enlightenment, meaning a transformative evolution of thought, and the other one probably is the one that was predicted by so many, where we would destroy ourselves in World War III. We are sitting in the one that is evolutionary, revolutionary. This is a time of human evolution of consciousness where we're going to start changing human nature. That's an empowering thought. And with it comes all the strife you're seeing today. People don't like change, especially when the light comes on and the dirt shows. The dirt has always been there. And now you're starting to look at it and point at it and saying, do we really want that dirt around? Let's not cover it up. Let's not turn off the lights anymore and just keep going in the same way. We're actually wishing to clean up our act as humans. We're hearing from humans. That's the message that you're hearing. Dear ones, this particular 4th program talks about perhaps one of the most important evolutionary steps. We've talked about the awarenesses that are starting to come forth with human beings. The awarenesses being those things that were always there and that you always knew about. But the difference now is they're starting to be owned by you. They're starting to stick with you. They're starting to be able to turn on a light that stays on, you might say. When you start becoming aware of others, when you start becoming aware of all of the other things that we've talked about, especially the first one we talked about, the awareness of self-worth, that you don't have any. Why not? Did you start to wake up to the fact that there's so many who don't feel very good because they don't think they should, because they're not told they should by anyone around them? You really do start being told you're nothing, don't you? And that plays out through your life. We talked about that as number 1. Awareness of your worth. awareness of your magnificence. We talked about the awareness of others, the reaction of your awareness to others. We talked about many things that would peg evolutionary consciousness. In other words, someone would see how people on the planet thought 100 years ago, 50 years ago, 20 years ago, and today. What this change really does for you, if you've paid attention, if you put it together, if you believe what I have told you, what this really does is make it so you will not repeat history. That's the evolutionary. That's the evolutionary human. A human being as a group on this planet. It will not then go and repeat history as it always has. There is a cycle. And the cycle goes like this. You learn things. You go from dysfunction to function because you learned what doesn't work. That's called maturity. And you sit there having learned it. And then you become older. And then you pass on. And the young people coming forward, they've got to learn it again. Because at no way and no place, and there has really been no way where you can pass the maturity of what you've learned to your children. You can tell them about it. You can have them study it. But it's almost like it's in the DNA. They've got to go through it again and again and again. Suddenly, there is an evolutionary process. It involves using this 24th pair of chromosomes we've talked about. And what happens is what you have experienced as humanity becomes imbued to your children at birth in a far better way. They know why it doesn't work. At some level, it doesn't have to be learned again or studied. They've got it. That's the difference. That is an evolutionary consciousness. This is what we have told you is going on this planet. The big one we've saved till last. The evolutionary consciousness is one that starts to see, realize, and admit that inside them there's more than human. Inside them is not just something that a master has or that is magnificent. It's what has been told from the beginning to you. That inside you, at the cellular level, is the creative source, Spirit, God. You are a part of the creative source. You are a part of God. The God within is a terminology that has been with you on this planet for a very long time. People look for God inside. It's something you've heard before, isn't it? I'm here to tell you that there's more than just words there. What really, truly is happening on this planet at a very, very small level now, but is growing and growing, people are aware that inside them is an eternalness. It starts to temper that which some have been told about what happens at death. It starts to make them a little more savvy, common sense with what love does. Love brings you into this planet beautifully and takes you out beautifully. Love does not punish you horribly because you weren't aware of something or a doctrine. Love takes you from this place, enhances you, puts you back. You are dearly loved. From your first breath to your last. And inside you there is a feeling perhaps, an awareness perhaps, of soul energy. what it might be like on the other side of the veil where your home is. This is the new awareness, God inside. Do you think it's even possible that the Creator put a seed of itself in you and you have the consciousness of God if you want it? The consciousness of God is love. It's not a human consciousness. The consciousness of God is not a situation where you know everything and you know what's going to happen. No, it's love. That's the consciousness of God, which tempers absolutely everything you do. How you feel, what your fears are, how you feel about the future. If you're a piece of that which is all there is, you can raise your hand and say, give it to me. I'm in distress, dear Spirit. I want a connection to you right now, which will take me out of stress into peace so that I'll recognize the solutions that are coming. How about that? Right now, the human being goes into distress and they go see somebody to help them. You're always looking for an outside solution. The evolved human being looks for the inside solution because they recognize it's really there. It really is there. Humanity, especially certain cultures, are trained to go outside of themselves to get help. What pill is it? Is it a physical pill? Is it a pill in a building where you kneel? What pill do you take so that you'll be better? What if the pill was inside? What if it was always inside? But this energy, in this time, on this planet, lets that pill break open and you're starting to experience it. You see, you've had help. That's what the prophecy said. There'll become a time. There'll become a time when this planet changes. Not just the humans, but the energy of the planet itself to allow for a thinking that took you into mastery. Are you hearing this? I hope so, because that's you. I am Kryon in love with humanity, which is starting to evolve and recognize who they are, what they are, and how magnificent the entire experience is. It's true. And so it is.
And following that wonderful, uplifting message, I invite you to open your eyes if you've had your eyes closed and slowly bring your awareness back into your body as we move into the next part of our program. And this evening we have a phenomenal guest who has been in the health and wellness industry and has such an amazing story and amazing things to share with us. And her name is Dr. Jodie Bear, and I want to make sure she's on the Zoom feed with us. Dr. Jodie, are you there?
I certainly am, and it's certainly an honor to be with Monica and Lee. They teach us how to be.
Oh, don't you all just love her already?
Oh,
and
wow.
If you are meeting her for the first time, Lee and I want to tell you more about her.
Well, for over 42 years as a certified health coach, Dr. Jodie Bear has provided guidance and support to individuals seeking improved health and wellness. That's what she does. She's a corporate health coach and consultant, delivering training on peak performance to more than 1,200 government, Fortune 100 and 500 companies across North America and 200 NCAA athletic institutions. Whoa. She's the host of the live radio show Wellness Coach Dr. Jodie and BuildFortunesRadio.com. She's also TV host of Life Milkshake Moments. I love that. I love that title. Mindset Mondays and another one called Doctor Talk.
Now, she's the author of 4 internationally best-selling books, and her first book, it's called 21 Days for Your Best You, Keys to a Life of Excellence. And that particular book, it sold like 1.5 million copies in the first 5 days it was released. Then we have 3 more books in the Ignite series. We have Ignite the Hunger in You, Ignite Wisdom, and Ignite Your Faith. She is also, my goodness, not just someone who tells and helps other people about health and wellness. She is a triathlete. I mean, gosh, I did a triathlete once, and it was 3 of us doing it. I just did one portion of the triathlete, but she's doing all of it. And check this out. She is, here's the title, nationally ranked age group Olympic distance triathlete, holding the impressive number 18 ranking nationwide. My goodness. So she's walking what she's talking. In her career, she has assisted, this is astonishing, everyone, she has assisted her clients collectively achieving an excess of 1 million pounds of accumulated toxic weight loss. And she's provided natural COVID immunity remedies and enhancements to over 2,000 clients.
Dr. Jody has been a featured guest at various prestigious events, including the Los Angeles Tribune Women's Empowerment and Les Brown's Hungry for Greatness live event in New York. She's a regular guest speaking at notable events in the health and wellness industry. One of her favorite statements is, "Health isn't something you do, it's what you become along life's journey." So Dr. Jody, welcome to the show. I want you to tell your story, but along there, you got to tell me about life's milkshake moments and what it means. Welcome.
Let's start with life's milkshake moment, Lee. And truly, it is magnificent. It is a leading part of my life. That's M&L, Monica and Lee. Thank you for allowing me to be here and be a part of your amazing, amazing journey. Life's milkshake moments. This was coined by inspiration from Les Brown, the iconic Les Brown, when I said, life is like a milkshake. Choose your ingredients wisely. And when you do, life will be oh so sweet. Isn't that what life's all about? Isn't that what's mindful, being present in that consciousness? Who doesn't love a milkshake? Who doesn't want to make the ingredients just so it can only be what you and you are all about? And that's what I built my life on. Monica and Lee, I just am compelled to just share a little bit of my story. Anything ever hits you out of the blue? My wonderful listening audience, my wonderful fans of Monica and Lee. I was going along. I was a classically trained vocal musician, broadsided by a Lincoln Continental. My next waking moment, I was face down in a surgical halo. And my mother said to me, Jody. She had this little Norwegian accent. The doctors only see what they see. They don't know who you are. And isn't that what we're living now in this world? And 6 months later, because of mindfulness, being present in my physical body and giving divine consciousness, I walked out of that hotel room. That I said it was a hotel room. It was really a hospital. Hotel room I'm going to check out of because it was mindfulness.
Yeah.
And I've been running ever since. And I found health coaching, which became a towering inferno inside of me when I had this little bun in the oven 43 years ago, and I wanted to give him the best start in life. And the Leche League International, I walked in to the meeting and they said, "This is nutrition." I looked over at this table and it had additives and preservatives. I thought, I'm not putting that in here. Of course, being a little bit of a firebrand, Lee and Monica, I didn't know that the president of La Leche League was there. And she said, if you're so smart, then why don't you do something about it? This gets me into what we're doing in the present. Let's do something about it because this is the way we are being. As wonderful as my resume sounds and all of that, I'm honored to say I've done this because I found my passion. I found my towering inferno inside of me then when I started being mentored by the iconic Dr. Hulda Clark. Now, going into and Lee, I'm going to say it because you told me, in my 70th year, I'm exactly the same age as the iconic Dr. Hulda Clark. You see, I sold my practice. 66, I was done. Then COVID hit. COVID, my wonderful, just heartfelt audience, wasn't that like being broadsided by a Lincoln Continental? No idea what was happening. But you see, I went down into myself. It's that mindfulness. It's everything that you learn and what you are being here on this show, why you do it on a Wednesday, why we do it every day, is that you can go into yourself. And my husband looked at me, the big bear, as I call him, and he said, people need you. I said, I've retired. And he said, well, I've read the book too, Think and Grow Rich. There are only 57 alibis. There's no 58. The world needs you. And whoever you are out here listening, whatever you're doing, the world needs you and your divine consciousness message. So I'd sold my practice. I had gone ahead and had a non-circumvent for 100 miles around me. Who was I going to go to? If you have that towering inferno of that burning desire that wakes you up at 3 a.m, it's not your gallbladder kicking in. It's actually your gallbladder with your digestive properties going to your brain, said, do something about it. Because when we can do, we will be what we need to be. When we can be all that we were meant to be. I am a vegetarian, Monica and Lee, but I call it being a bestitarian. 21 days to your best you. We are bestitarians. What are you best at? What are you best at? Well, what I was best at was finding the internet. I thought, it doesn't have to be brick and mortar. I can go click an order. The next thing you know, I'm on a radio show. The next thing you know, I'm on a TV show. The next thing you know, I'm sharing with you, because our message in this world, when the light switch goes on, it dispels the darkness, but we must be light for the world. And that's what I am doing now in my divine year of 70, soon to be 70, 69 and a half. I want to walk the talk. This is my legacy program. Healthopedia is a compilative book that we're just launching in September. It is no coincidence, as Dr. Bernie Siegel, there are no coincidences that here we're going into September. I had this vision. This is what I want to give you, this wonderful audience. If you have a vision, you come out of this mindful state with Monica and you see what you can be being that bestitarian. Just go into that with confidence. You might not know how, but you know it in your knower, just like my mother said. Jody, the doctors only see what you see, but they don't know who you are. You know who you are in that quietness, and the world needs that knowing. The world needs that knowing that only you can do what you can do, being that bestitarian. You see, Healthopedia came when I was looking for a sign. I was a young, just fledgling health coach. I had a kindergartner. I knew that they were trying to label him. They were trying to pigeonhole him, and I didn't want to use synthetic drugs. There are no coincidences. I turned on daytime TV. Now, I'm not one that kind of sits around and watches daytime TV. There were no coincidences. Phil Donahue had Dr. Hulda Clark, and she said, this was 1989. There was no internet. There was no GPS. There was nothing. She said she lived in Atlanta. I was in Atlanta. And it was my love for my second son. I found her. And I found her. She said, I'm not taking clients anymore. I said, you will take my son. And then you will mentor me, because I knew that this was what was meant to be. Don't give up on your vision. Your vision is your mission to fruition. And what Healthopedia is what I wrote on a goal card, Monica and Lee, in 1989 that said, I will pen the Eastern medical version of the PDR. When did I find that? When during COVID, I was recreating myself. You see, there's always another chapter. There's always another chapter. And out of my filing cabinet, when I was asking for guidance, show me the way. When you humbly say, show me the way, there will be a way for each of you. And what happened was this gold card filled out, dated. It said, I will pen the Eastern medical version of the PDR, which is the physician's reference. Every Western medical doctor uses it. And now Healthopedia is here. You don't know what's inside of you unless you do. So let your daily habits sustain you so your life of significance can maintain you well beyond this, well beyond what you're doing here, well beyond what you can do to be the bestitarian that you were designed to be. There's no one else like you. And this is divine consciousness in the making. And when we do that meditation, of which you well know, as I was saying to the unobservant audience a minute ago, about 2 hours ago, I said 20 minutes of meditation will give you 2 hours of sleep. That's why, Lee, you can look like you're 40 and so can I. That's what it's all about. So we can give more, we can do more, because energy creates vitality, which transcends into longevity. We are both, Lee and I, aren't we? We're living proof.
Absolutely. And I want to know, what are some of those tips that you recommend for daily habits to sustain health and longevity? Obviously, meditation.
And eating correctly.
But what are some of the other kind of tips that you share that give us daily habits of health?
That's a beautiful question, Monica. I know for myself, and what I talk about in the 21 days to your best you, it's start with you and your world first. When you empower you and your world first, the world around you is empowered forever. So I began each day with gratitude. We hear it a lot, but when you've been paralyzed from the shoulders on down, doing a sun salutation is a big deal. So I start with gratitude. Then I go in and I go into my bathroom and I take a tongue depressor. It takes off the digestive gook that was in your mouth. You see, that's all the acidity because you want to be alkaline. And by the way, I have these tips on 10 rituals to rock your day. You can go on the internet. It's free. It's my gift to you. Then I do oil pulling. I have it right here. It's frankincense. If it was good enough for our Savior, it's good enough for me. Oil pulling in your body. Then I come back and I do lemon water. Presently, I am doing a detoxification. I'm doing a cleansing of my kidneys. So I mix coconut water with lemon water. How in the world something so acidic could be so alkaline? Because it's set overnight. What do you think happens when we rest, we meditate? So I drink my lemon water and then I'm out the door for my anatomic nervous system walk. And Monica, thank you for saying about me being a triathlete. But I can say the reason I can still do this and my knees are intact is because of the autonomic nervous system walk. I want to give all the praise and honor to my teacher, my guru, Dr. James Marinakis, who is my partner now on Healthopedia. He is absolutely amazing. He's brought injured people back and made them Olympic athletes. This is how he came up with the autonomic nervous system walk. I have every single one of my clients do this. And then we come back in a shower after I brush my body and then I meditate. That take my daily rituals. And of course, I would call it 10 rituals to rock your day. These 10 rituals will get you so present that every breath that you take will affect the next person that you talk to, of which we have many. And one of the things and how I came up with this is because I had that burnout. Don't we know about burnout? But it's 6 months before you have the symptoms of burnout that it kicks in. You know what the good news is, Monica and Lee? I'm preaching to the choir here. Okay. And I am a professional singer, but I'm speaking to the choir here because when you go ahead and you can go out and actually do this thing that you were meant to do in the world, you're preaching to you first and then the choir. Make sense?
Absolutely. And I love that you said a word that really tweaked me, where it's 10 rituals instead of I have to do this. So just in that terminology, it's like this magic light bulb.
10
that goes,
suggestions.
I'm going to do my ritual. I love that.
Ritual to rock.
Yeah.
Ritual to rock. And you do. It's a ritual because what you do in your daily life sustains you. What you do in your macro life will maintain you. That's another way that I say it. But this is so important because we conscious people in this divine consciousness, as Dr. Jim calls it, is like no other. That's why I called my book, The 21 Days to Your Best You. Your listenership, your followers know it's just not women, Monica, you and I, that have a cycle, or I did a long time ago, but there's a frequency cycle with the human condition. And if we can tap into that 21 days, if you feel like you're being burnt out, if you say, but I want to get started, just stay in confidence. That's the first lift. And then you go up to gratitude. That's why I'm a little bit above, because I am a competitive soul. Gratitude, then peace, joy, love, passion, and ecstasy. If you catch yourself frustrated during the day, you're the degenerative cycle that will go into fear. Didn't we have that during COVID? That's the fear. You go into anger, disease, and we know the rest. There are no coincidences that Dr. Jim and I in 2019, we knew that we had this remedy, and I'm not making any claims, nothing cures, but the body put in the right condition can and will heal itself. All right. I was awakened at 3 a.m., the divine 3 a.m. So is he with his family in Montana. We had 90 days, November, December, January. What happened? COVID hit, and we had created a remedy that is a panacea to boost your immune system, to create white blood cell count, and the list is on and on and on. But what I'm most proud of in the present, where we were able to give it to 100,000 people during COVID with no mortalities. Now that is living proof, that divine consciousness. And we would do a program, Monica, just like you're doing the mindfulness program. That's what we did during COVID. And here we are.
This is amazing.
You know, you talk about your obstacles turning into opportunities. I mean, I love that, and we teach that. Give us some examples.
Well, being paralyzed was a good one.
Gosh.
Being a situation and say, if you're going to fall down, make sure you fall on your back, because you can always look up to get up. That's what Les Brown says. I had an obstacle of being a single mom, sole support of these 2 young boys in grade school. Goodness. I had a husband. He left the note on the kitchen table, says, I'm not coming home. Intuitively, I knew that he wasn't coming home for dinner. And I went into myself. When you have those times, ladies and gentlemen, go into yourself, because no one knows you like you do. No one can go in and heal yourself. The word is hope. Go up in opportunity, to come in positivity. It wasn't a fun situation, but I knew if I stayed in the positive and I could heal myself from within, then I could empower my sons and therefore the world. How did I know that? I was just driving down the road one day, hit out of the blue, a second car accident, and I was absolutely fishtailed, a drunk driver again. No short-term memory. It was lost. But I went down into myself. And y'all are going to love this one. The triathlete, because I had just finished a half Ironman. I was strong. I was physically in great shape. So I could withstand physically the trauma. But what I did is that, what were you going to do when you're in ICU? You're going to breathe. No matter what religion, what brand that you do, what culture. Breath is life. And I sat and breathed, and I breathed even though everything hurt. Then I went into a detoxification program with my homeopathic healer. 18 months later, I was back on the bike. See, your setback is only a setup for a comeback. So what are you going to come back to do? Your next version of you will give your history, which was not going to be a mystery when you tell your story. Because when you tell your story, you can probably hear background. In my studio here in the hotel, we just had a thunderclap. Isn't that so prophetic? Because your history is like a thunderbolt, but it doesn't have to be your history. You are not your history. That thunderbolt happens, the lightning happens, and then the rain to the rainbow. And it's all there for you. Keep yourself mindful in spirit. Then your physical body, you are the only person that will never leave you. Come in positivity and then go out in empowerment. And I'm looking, because I'm just so in the moment here. I don't even know how much time we have. Can I share one other thing?
Absolutely.
Monica?
Absolutely.
Because so often that we are go, go, go. We're like these plates and they're all spinning. You didn't even realize that they've gone into turkey platters, and then you can't keep it all spinning. Just take a moment, step back and say, I have the skills. No one could do what I can do in this world. And you will know exactly at that moment how there's a setup for a comeback. So always listen to the whispers of your own wisdom. It's not Dr. Jody's wisdom. It's not Monica's wisdom. It's not Lee's wisdom. It is your wisdom. I said the word was hope because in the whisper of your own wisdom is your health and your life. And in those whispers, there's always hope.
I want to encourage everyone to go and have a look at Dr. Jody's website to find out more. It is drjodee.com, and doctor is DR, so drjodee.com, and check out all those radio programs as well. I mean, we're just getting, she's a firecracker.
She's a firecracker.
in case we haven't worked it out, she's a firecracker.
Yeah, I was going to tell her
to
cheer down, but
So how do you tell someone who, we can always procrastinate and say the timing isn't right. I love what you're saying to do this, to do gratitude, to do these rituals. I'll start tomorrow. Mm-hmm. How do we get through that lack of inertia to begin?
Beautiful way of saying this. I always say there's no procrastination in this body. I just decided that was not going to be, because I had a second start at 24 years of age, that I could walk again. So decide today is the day. Let me ask your audience, would you ever I'm not going to back out of my garage door. I'm not going to go down to the next town until all the lights were green. No. You just begin. You must get started to be great. You don't have to be great to get started. The bad news is procrastination is suicide on the installment plan. That's all day number 4. That's the only thing I talk about in day number 4 of my book, because it's so important to say, today is the only day that I have. Today, while I breathe, that I must make the most of it. Why not say that I want to go and die full and go into our maker and say, I am empty because I have completed what I was destined to complete. And that only begins with doing. And it only begins with being the best that you can be right here, right now. Nobody's judging. Nobody's looking around you. Just look inside of you and say, I'm enough. I'm going to give your listening audience something, just a gem, Dr. Bernie Bitts. He says, lay in bed as you meditate and start loving on your toes, then move up and love every part of your body. But then when you wake up out of meditation, look in the mirror. And ladies, we don't do this well. See, I wanted to be blue-eyed and blonde-haired. Our maker didn't see it that way. So embrace yourself. Embrace yourself in the mirror. Say, I love me. I love my brown eyes. I love my brown hair. I love my, and you go ahead and love on you because you're the only person that will never leave you. Husbands, I proved that with my husband. Husbands and wives may. And certainly at some age, children better. So love on you because between the dashes, you only have you. And collectively between those dashes, we have each other. But it's important to begin with you and end with you in your gratitude journal and your gratitude journal and your gratitation. It's a new word. It's gratitation because I'm gratitated that I am the best version of me. We just came up with the word, Monica.
I love it.
She just made up that word.
I love it.
We'll write it down right now.
Yeah, it is so important to begin the day with gratitude. And they're so simple, and yet we forget about it. I love the phrase you said, I am enough.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
That is
gratification.
Huge.
Gratification. Maybe it's gratitude in action.
Yeah.
Maybe that's the new made up word. Gratification. Because we can all have gratification, grateful action, grateful attitude, gratification.
Well, I love it. We've created the new word, gratification. So if there's any kind of final words that you would like to share, even though everything you have given it, we're going to have to watch the replay.
I know, to get everything.
Get into all of the gems that you've shared with us. But any final words that you want to share with us?
Because when you go inside and look at yourself, everyone has a dark side. But conversely, you flip on a switch and the light is there. Just know that you're enough to flip on that switch. Just know that you're enough, that the light always dispels the darkness, and no one can do what you can do. You were put on here for a reason and a season, and your lifetime will make all the gratification that's everyone's around you, make it all worthwhile. So you can be more and do more. So you can be your bestitarian in your life. Just begin today. Your future self will thank you. Thank you, Monica and Lee. What a just delight to be in your presence.
Oh, well, we are thanking you. It's been absolutely delightful and so inspiring, so uplifting and so passionate. And thank you for sharing your passion with us.
Peace, love, joy. Namaste.
Beautiful. Peace, love, namaste. And we are going to take a 10-minute break and maybe use that time to just sit and say those words. I am enough. I am enough. I am enough. And then we'll see you back here for the Circle of 12.